What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. So this one is actually going to be a little bit on the eclectic side, mainly because I don't really know what I'm going to be talking about today. It's a very, very random vibe. That's kind of where I'm at. But I thought I would do a check-in, a weekly reading check-in, just to kind of say what I've read this week, how I feel about it, share some thoughts, because the books that I'm currently reading are definitely putting me into a bit of a reading slump. So I was like, I don't know what to do about this. So I might DNF a series, guys. It's really, really hard for me to say that. I don't know if I'm like guaranteed going to DNF the series, because I'm really hoping that I will get a second wind and end up enjoying this series. But okay. Just so many thoughts and feels on this. In fact, I am having to literally pack a bag with a bunch of other stuff in it to go to a coffee shop to try to convince myself to read the other book that I want to read, because it's actually really cute and I'm enjoying it so far. But the problem is that because of the fact that I'm struggling with the series that I'm currently audibling / reading, and the fact that I'm spending a lot of time on that book and it's kind of sucked me into its atmosphere, I'm really struggling to get into the other book. Like I said, this video is going to be super random, so I guess I'll also fill this with a what's in my bag. This is one of my absolute favorite bags, and today's one of those days where it is extremely warm outside. It is hot. We had a hot front come through and it's like 93 degrees outside. It's miserable. And I don't do well in the heat. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to doll up and go to a cute little coffee shop and just sit and read, because I need to get out of the apartment. I'm dying. I need to get out. Also, outfit of the day. It's just so cute today. So I decided to go shorts vibes. So this is a pair of black shorts from Abercrombie. I've paired it with this cute little vest that's also from Abercrombie in the lovely gray. Let's just close this, shall we, so you can actually see. And then I've paired it with a black belt. I do absolutely adore this belt. I love this belt because it's actually reversible as well. So I adore it. And then I threw on this little cardigan in case it gets cold, although for now it's extremely warm. So let's just go ahead and take that off. And I just think it looks so cute. So this is the vibes. I will be wearing this most likely with a pair of black either heels, or I'll probably throw on some black combat boots. I haven't decided yet. Jewelry wise, we went a little bit simple today. I didn't know what to do with my hair. I didn't want it in my face while I was filming, so I threw it up with partially with the clip for now, but I'll probably end up letting it down. Just very, very simple, understated jewelry. So we have some beautiful earrings. These are the same ones that I did get for my birthday last year, along with the necklace that I got last year. The only problem is these necklaces like to combine together, which is always frustrating. But I do love how dainty and cute that is and how it just kind of sits in place. This is actually, in our culture, in my religion, basically the equivalent of a wedding ring. So it basically just states that I am a married woman, and normally it's on a giant chain and it's super heavy and I just can't on a daily basis. So we decided to go with this. I have on my cute little bracelet and it's a lovely, lovely pink and gold and I love it. This was actually a gift from my in-laws and it is an heritage heirloom piece. So I absolutely love it. And this is the travel ring set that I like to wear. So basically it's this lovely pink moissanite. No, the other one. There's another stone. It's pink. It starts with an M as well. Don't recall what it is. It sounds like moissanite as well. Anyways, and then this one is black onyx, and I love the fact that it looks like it's on a vine. That just makes me so happy, and it just to me represents like our love will continue to grow. And then I have on my Citizen watch that is part of the Disney collection, and this one is actually based on Belle, I believe, and it says on the back, like a rose, I stand tall. And I just love that. I think it's so me, and I loved that all of the pieces are matching. And that was a quick outfit run through. So as you can see, I would rather talk about anything else other than the books that I'm reading right now. So we will get to the books. We will. Also, for those of you that are new, welcome to the channel. My name is Jaya. I put out videos every Wednesday and Sunday, usually on bookish related content. And if that sounds like it's your vibe, you're definitely in the right spot. We also have some randomness here and there that's smattered throughout this entire channel, whether it be little travel blogs, random topics like board games and things like that, or other things. Like food. I do like to incorporate some randomness in here, but it is primarily, I would say, 90% a book channel. So if you have a fiction addiction like I do, like many of our friendly community here does, then you're definitely in the right spot, and consider hitting that subscribe button and that notification bell, because I would love to have you back. Let's get into the what's in my handbag so I can show you the other book that I'm reading as well. So normally for me, when it comes to bags, I just needed to be able to fit a book. This is like my primary goal in life, is that all my handbags should be able to fit books, which I know is not always reasonable. So the smaller bags that I carry, they have to be able to at least fit a Kindle or a Nook or something along those lines. This is a beautiful, beautiful handbag of mine that I'm absolutely obsessed with. I love the silver hardware. I don't typically go for silver hardware bags, so that was really special about this bag for me, actually. And I just love the finish on the leather. This is actually still made with cow leather. It is not actually croc, but I just love how it looks exotic and stunning. And this is by the brand YSL. This is one of their sac de jour pieces, and I adore it. I think it's just stunning. The thing I stuffed in here was my cardigan. I love this cardigan. It's absolutely beautiful. I've had it for years. I think I bought this as one of my first ever pieces when I was in New York with my best friend, and we were about 16, 17, 18 at that time. It's crazy to think that it's lasted this long, but I love it. My mom likes to steal it all the time too. Inside this handbag, we have, first and foremost, a book journal, because again, always have to have a book, but I'm also a little bit behind on the journaling. This is by a company called Wrong, and I absolutely love it in order to document all things books. I actually have another haul that's coming up from them, so I will definitely share some of their other pieces that I recently purchased. If you guys are interested, you can definitely check out that video. It should be coming out either in the next video or the video after in terms of those items. But basically it is removable pages, very similar to the Happy Planner vibes and setup, but it just has these beautiful, beautiful decor, vintage vibes that I absolutely love. So as you start off, you have your little reading tracker, so you can actually write down all the books that you've read. I have so far, I believe, read almost 76 books so far this year. So I've actually been moving pretty fast through my book list, which I'm really, really proud of. But that could also be why I'm sitting in a slump right now. So we shall find out. And then as I go through that, you also have a way to track your reading tracker. As you can see, we're going very slow so far. I have only read 3 books this month, and of those 3 books, I've only finished 1 of them. So that's how slow I am moving this month. And then you also have your reading log tracker, where you can actually write down the books, the star ratings, and the authors that you've read. And that is basically the first section. And then moving into the second section is when you start, your TBR list. And then you have, of course, your favorites, quotes section, like all the things that spoke to you, and things like that, which is always fun. Then here's the part where you actually go into your journal reviews and your book reviews of the ones that you really like. And then you have some empty pages in the back to do as you will with. So I am actually going to be going to a coffee shop where I can just sit and read and kind of journal and talk about some of the books that I did read. I usually try to journal all the books that I read for the book clubs, especially the ones that I have had the honor of helping run. So I definitely do need to take this out and journal a little bit. Then I have in here a pack of tissues, because you never know. I have my catch-all. I do need to put a pad in here, which I have not, but just how cute is that? Look at the little cats. Look at the little cats. Okay, I'm obsessed with cats. In case you don't know, I have a black cat. I do have a couple of pads in here. Yay me. Then I have some sanitizer. For those of you that don't want to buy Touchland, but like that look and that style and how sleek it is and how easy it is to carry around, Pammy is a great option. This is also available on Amazon. They have some great scents. It's a lot more affordable. It's still a great hand sanitizer. It just goes on beautifully, and this one smells delicious. This is a passion fruit guava scented one. And then also inside of this, I have some chapsticks. So I have my Carmax, then I have the EOS cookie flavored one, birthday cake flavored one, which is absolutely delicious. Some hand lotion because you never know. So I do love this little Diptyque one that came in the Christmas set that we had gotten last year, just because I like to try out their different candles. I have another little hand lotion and then just some spritz up, catch-all perfumes just in case, because you never know. You know what I'm saying? And I have a problem with smelling bad. I just do really struggle with it. It's not something I'm comfortable with doing. One of my best friends, her father is actually in wholesale perfume, so having been around her for a vast majority of my life, I would say at least half my life at this point, I genuinely feel like it's just a pet peeve now that I cannot smell bad. Then I have in here my little coffee passport. This is great. This is by the company Cafe. No, it's not by the company Cafe. What is the company? Let me figure this out for you. I think it is Cafe Passport. I think that's what they're literally called. And basically you can go on there and they have a bunch of different coffee shops within your area that they list, and that way you can try out different coffee shops, and it's literally shaped like a little passport. So as an example, I haven't filled this out in a while. This one is great. So this was for Milk and Honey, which is one of the coffee shops near me, and I could just write down what I ordered, what I thought of it, all that kind of stuff. It's just a fun little treat, fun little vibe, So I absolutely love that, and I love taking it around with me. I have in here my mini planner. This basically acts as a doodling list. I can put grocery lists in here, things that I need to take care of, to-do lists, catch-alls, and then I have my giant Erin Condren desk calendar, which I actually put most of my stuff in. But like, for example, I did a quick little grocery list for the high tea that we did last week, which I did not film. I should have filmed, and I did not film. But I will definitely put that in a highlights read somewhere, because it was a lot of fun. And for those of you that may not know, I used to actually do high tea as a side gig with one of my friends, where we would actually go to people's homes and set up the high teas for them. And it was a lot of fun. We used to do this when I was in the middle of my residency and she was at full-time work. So it wasn't really a sustainable thing for us, but we really enjoyed it while we did it. Then I also have in here my headphones, because you never know. I have in here a little catch-all hairbrush because, you just, again, you never know. And I love having a little hairbrush with me at all times. So there we go. I have long hair. So it's the curse of the long hair is what I would say. And then I have a bunch of receipts and whatnot in here, which I should probably actually clear out. So let's pull all those out. Yeah, a bunch of receipts, which I don't need. So fun stuff there. I tend to take these from restaurants when they give them to me, because I prefer to wash my hands at the restaurants, because there's usually restrooms. And then these come in handy whenever you need to travel. So they're literally wet wipes that you can just use to clean your hand should you want to do so. That particular one is from Inchins, and I love Inchins. This is my little cash wallet today. So I just have a bunch of little, bills in there, because you never know. You never know. Some places are cash only, so it's just nice to have it on hand. And then I have in here the book that I'm actually reading. So here we get to the actual part of the video that you guys are probably here for, which is related to the books. So now this is the book that I'm currently reading. This is V.E. Schwab's The Savage Song, and I am absolutely loving this. I am not that far into this book, as you can see. So the goal is to really sit down and get through it this weekend, because I have no excuse not to do so. It is Mother's Day weekend though, so I know there are some things coming up that I have to participate in tomorrow, because tomorrow is Sunday, but at least for today, I have no excuses to not read. My family is all out at a music concert right now, and I just did not have the energy to go, and I was not feeling well earlier, so I decided I was gonna do a little pick-me-up, dress myself up, and then go to a coffee shop to read, which is why you're seeing me like this. But I am excited to read this book. Now, so far, I've gotten to the part where we are basically into the world that has been created by V.E. Schwab. For those that don't know, she does a lot of dystopian, a lot of fantasy, a lot of sci-fi, with sometimes pulls and concepts based on monsters and hell and devils and things like that. So if that's kind of your vibe, you can definitely consider. The book that she wrote that kind of went viral is The Secret Life of Addie LaRue, and that was excellent. I remember reading it. I really enjoyed it. It's just that it was a little bit slow. This book, on the other hand, doesn't feel as slow to me. So far, it's been very interesting. But currently the concept is there is a city called V City, and in this city it has been divided into North and South, and both of those areas are basically ruled by specifically families. So on one side you have the Flynn family, and then on the other side you have the Harker family. Now the Harker family basically rules with fear. So they protect their people from the monsters that live among them by basically saying, hey, I will protect you at a cost and a fee. Then you have the Flynn side of town, where basically their goal is to have harmonious living, and they're not as aggressive towards their residents in terms of having to pay a fee to stay protected and safe from the quote-unquote monsters. Now within this story, you also see that the Harker side is like very, very anti-monsters and definitely more violent, and then on the Flynn side, they're more friendly towards monsters. They don't believe that all of them are evil. You have 3 categories of monsters that have been introduced: the Malachi, the Korsai, and the Sinai. And within the Sunai, you have 3 members, Leo, August, and his sister Isla, where they basically live with the Flynn family and basically are almost like the adopted children for the Flynn family. They are very protected and they're very special. I don't fully understand why yet, but they are supposed to be the most unique of the monsters and the most special of the monsters and the most humanoid looking of the monsters. In this book, monsters are basically created by heinous human acts. So murder and things like that will basically lead to the creation of a monster, which also explains why many of them are very terrorizing and scary, because they have basically been bred by violence and evil. Now in this book, it's also very unique because on the Flynn side, these 3 very special monsters are basically serving a different purpose. They have shown that they have slightly higher elevated intellect and ability to think, and so they are considered more valuable and almost to a certain extent human. So August's only goal is that he wants to be human, he wants to be valuable, he wants to be helpful, and he wants to be a part of the community in the best way possible. And then on the Harker side, our main female character, Kate, is basically the daughter of the Harker mobster, city owner, half owner, whatever you want to call it. And she just wants to be as ruthless as her father. She just wants to be accepted by her father. Currently, she is not. She was sent away for being too much of a little kid. There was clearly an accident, something that happened with her mom. We don't really know what's happened yet. But now she has gone through multiple different schools, and her father had no other choice but to bring her back home. And now that she's back home, she has to figure out a way to be of value to her father. So that's kind of where we are in this Savage song. I'm about to see August eat for the first time, so I don't fully understand what monster eating looks like in his realm of things. So that is where the next section of this book is taking me, and I am currently on page 116, and it's a 300, almost 400 page book, I believe. Let's just double check, shall we? It's a 410 page book. So I'm right about 25% through this book. I'm very excited to see where it takes me. Let's talk about the other book series though. So the other series that I have been reading is The Poppy Wars by Kuang. This was actually the book that was selected by my book club to be read for this month, and so I was really hoping to enjoy it. It was also a book that my brother-in-law was reading, and so I was very excited to kind of see what his tastes are, because I'm still learning him and his favorite genres, and he did mention that he prefers a dystopian sci-fi vibe. In fact, this month of sci-fi books is actually dedicated really to him. So Harrison, shout out to you. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to try and read this series and see where it takes me. So I finally finished The Poppy Wars. Now, the thing I will say about this is it is long, it is intense, it's a lot of battles, it's a lot of war, it's a lot of fighting, it's a lot of political power plays that are happening, and it's a main female character that is very, 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 very difficult to like. And R. Kuang actually says that she wrote this character to not be a likable character, but rather a character that's completely entrenched in the war and everything else that's going on around her. So it kind of makes sense that she is displayed and portrayed in this way. This book was a 3-star read for me. It was still tolerable. It was relatively good once things started picking up a little bit. It was just really hard to like the main character. Then in The Dragon Republic, which is the second book and the one that I'm currently stuck on, you know, it seemed like, you know, things might get a little bit better, but instead they got a little bit worse. And so I'm really struggling. Now, there are pieces in this book that are definitely interesting, and, you know, it does seem like there's a chance that it's going to get better, and then it just backtracks for me. So I'm really just, we'll see where it takes us. But essentially what this book is about is there is a war college, if you will, that you have to test into. So different people from all over the country can apply to the school, but they have to be willing to take a test and score very highly in order to even be considered for the school. If they do well on this exam and they are accepted, then they're basically taken into the highest level training for military. Once they're within the training grounds, there's different tracks that they can take, but their first year is kind of their initiate year, and they're still trying to learn basic understandings of martial arts. Now, obviously, people who come from richer, more prominent families already have a little bit of a head start over the individuals that are coming with no training and no background, aka our main character, Rin. So the first half of this book is basically about Rin taking this exam and getting accepted into Signgard, this military college that's very, very, very highly acclaimed and basically produces the soldiers that work directly underneath the power of the Empress of the country. Now, within this, she comes from a very poor background. She doesn't actually know who her family is. She's an adopted child. And when she comes to Signgard and she's literally put through a bunch of trials and ends up in a fight with the highest level academic student there, who also happens to be her arch enemy in this book, she ends up realizing that there's something different about her, something unique. And that uniqueness is the fact that she has the ability to channel a god. She happens to be a spearling, which we find out later in the book, and you understand more about what spear is and the significance of being a spearling as you get further into the book series. But basically, they are a group of people that are thought to be eradicated and gone. Their entire population was basically believed to be murdered, and they are thought to be no more. However, they keep popping up in various areas. And as she kind of discovers more along this journey, and she goes under training and tutelage for this specific field that she has now discovered, she learns about the world of shamanism. So this book is basically a war-riddled book that also has a little bit of fantasy magic, in the sense that these characters are able to channel the gods as shamans and use those gods' channeled power in the human realm. Now, the problem with this is the gods are a lot stronger than the human mind. So while they are channeling this god, it is very, very, very difficult for them to hold on to reality and to their sense of self. Also, naturally, when you're in a significant military setting, you're going to see a lot, you're going to go through a lot, you do develop PTSD. The biggest drug of choice in this setting is opium in its various formats. And so these characters, these shamans, need a little bit of that quote unquote opium to even reach their god or reach the pantheon where all the gods are seated, in order to commune with them and be able to bring them down into the realm of the living. Now, obviously, these poppy-based drugs are available in various forms, and the more potent the form, the faster they get that high and they get to that point. The lower the dosage, then the harder it is for them to get to that state. However, they retain their senses a little bit better because they're not high. In this book, you do see a lot of conversation about drugs. You see a lot of conversations about the definition of being a woman and what someone is willing to give up in order to be within the war college. You see a lot on death. You see a lot on PTSD. There's a lot that happens in this book, and poor Rin is just trying to survive. So throughout the course of the first book, you just kind of see her getting thrown into these various situations that she's just not ready for, she's not prepared for, and it obviously takes a toll on her. And by the end of the book, she's kind of put in a position where crazy things have happened. She basically was the linchpin in the win that the Empress survives, and she finds out she's been betrayed by someone who's very, very close to her. She loses someone who's very, very close to her, and she basically walks out of this as the linchpin to their victory, but also the cause of a lot of turmoil and death, and she herself doesn't know what to make of it. She also ends up in a position where she is now riddled with an addiction, and she has to figure out how to deal with it, because the addiction is the only thing that allows her to escape her own mind, and she's not quite ready to face her own PTSD. So that's kind of where we leave off on the first book. It's very powerful, very intense, very moving, but like I said, the main character is very, very hard to like. She does come off as a little whiny, frustrating, difficult to really root for, and just lost. So you feel for her. It's just that it's 500 pages of that. So just keep that in mind. But the overall storyline and the plot is very, very deep. And I do think that R.F. Kuang does a decent job of expressing PTSD and its after effects. Now, I myself not being a therapist, and I myself not being a PTSD specialist, and I myself having worked with wonderful veterans many of times who had gone through their own forms of therapy before they met me, maybe that's an inaccurate statement, but for me, I did think that they did a decent job. I would say this book series is very reminiscent for me of the Hunting Games and Katniss's character. Now, I didn't really care for Kat either, and so Kat and PETA really irritated me in that series. So if they irritated you, this may not be the series for you. But if you absolutely loved Hunger Games and the politics and the play behind it, this is basically an adult version of that. Then we have the second book in the series, which is The Dragon Republic. Now, this book, I am currently on chapter 26, which is 480 pages into this book. This book is even longer than the other book. It is 54 pages. 654 pages of this book. I am currently on page 481. I have about an hour, probably hour and a half left of reading in this book, and I am struggling. Now, a lot more does happen in this book. It's just that Rin is very whiny and irritating, so I'm struggling with that. Her PTSD has really kicked in, but about halfway through this book, she is put in a position where she's forced to get clean and she's forced to face her demons. So that part was kind of interesting. You see other characters that are not necessarily shamans, but shaman adjacent and help maintain that balance that are introduced, which is kind of interesting. You get to see how the triad that basically was the original shaman trio that is known throughout the country and celebrated throughout the country, and one of which who is the Empress, came to be in this book. You kind of get a little bit of background knowledge on the different war games that are going on politically. You get a feel for, you know, how ridiculous sometimes the counseling people are. You also meet a group of people known as the Hesperians, who basically believes that shamans are utter and complete backwards people, and they actually want to study Rin as if she's an animal because they believe that their religion is better than all other religions and all these other things. You see the intricacies of being a shaman and what it means for these individuals when they hit that point where their god kind of takes over and messes with their mind. So that was also very interesting to see and very unique to kind of get character viewpoints from that perspective. It was overall, I think so far, an interesting journey. It's just that the books are very long and they're very, very intense. So when you're reading something that's consistently about war, consistently about death, your characters that you love are constantly getting into situations where they're having a difficult time, it's going back and forth. It's just really, really hard to jump into that book and eat it up and love it. But I can see why people rave about this book, and I cannot say enough about R.F. Kuang's writing. In general, I may not love the storyline, but her writing is incredible. Like, just her prose in general, the way she weaves a story is just absolutely beautiful. So there's one more book left in this series after I finish these two books, and I'm thinking I will eventually read The Burning God, and my goal is to get through it in May. But your girl definitely needs to take a break if she plans on getting through any of the other sci-fi, because these books are intense and I don't want to be in a war-ridden world the whole time of this month. But it is overall a good read. For those of you that also like to consume your books with Audible, if you like to physically read and listen, or you prefer to just listen, the Audible narration for this is actually quite excellent, and Audible has now released an option where it has all 3 books in one recording, so that if it's definitely something you want to consider, is a good option. These books also are available through local libraries, so Libby and places like that should have them as well if you're interested in consuming it in that way. But those are my thoughts so far on the R.F. Kuang books for this series. So hopefully I will be able to finish The Dragon Republic this weekend. So the goal is to basically finish this book and this Savage Song this weekend, and then fingers crossed, start new and fresh next week. But we'll see how this goes. And that brings me to the end of this video. Thank you for making it this far if you did. I realized it was very eclectic and very random. So that being said, thanks for sitting through this and just hanging out with me. I hope you enjoyed all the other random tidbits of what is my life and my musings. But as always, it's a pleasure to talk to you guys. If bookish related content is your vibe, you're definitely in the right place. And if you're new here, I would love to see you back. Consider hitting that subscribe button and that notification bell if you enjoyed yourself. I put out videos every Wednesday and Sunday. And for those of you that are returning, as always, it's been a blessing to create this community with you. Please, please, please leave your comments below because I love reading them. I love responding to them. I love knowing your thoughts. If you guys have read The Poppy Wars and it gets better, let me know so that I know to complete the series. I really struggle with leaving a series incomplete though. So knowing me, I will probably get through that third book. I just don't know when it's going to happen. But if you guys absolutely love this series and you love R.F. Kuang and you love her vibes, leave me some comments because I would love to know your thoughts. And otherwise, I will catch you guys in the next video. So good to speak with you all wherever you are, morning, evening, or night. I hope you're having a wonderful day and a blessed day. And for all the mothers out there, happy Mother's Day. Thank you for all you do. We love you. We need you. We appreciate you. You're so important. And I can't wait to celebrate with all of you in the next video.